Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our show. We are We the People, and we are a group of activists that work for prison reform that have joined together to see if we can't really accomplish some changes in our dilapidated system. With me this afternoon, I have Sarah Martinez and Stephen Bobo. Welcome, Sarah and Stephen.
Thank you.
Stephen, how are you tonight?
I am doing great. How are you tonight? Thank you for having me.
Well, as I was thinking this subject over, it's a very delicate subject, and for our viewers that are not, might be a little squeamish or offended or disturbed, tonight we're discussing sex offenders, especially child molesters, and perhaps a more effective way to deal with them. Because Sarah and Stephen, as you both know, I believe that we're not helping to fix anything the way the prison system is now. And everybody should be worried about this because these criminals all get released, and if they're not rehabilitated, why, they just go out and reoffend. Now, when we're talking about the sex offenders, this is especially horrible because it usually involves children, and the reason for this is because they're the least able to defend themselves and the easiest to frighten into silence. So, as the system stands now, all we have is one big mess. Stephen, you yourself have had hands-on experience in prison. As a guard, let me ask you, how are they treated when they're in prison? Because I know that they're the least popular of all the inmates. So how does the prison accommodate them, first of all?
Well, when you have a sex offender come in, pretty much they know, all the guys inside the prison know. They know who's coming in. The guards, we all know, if it's a big-time sex offender, he's usually in protective custody. That means a big-time sex offender is one who has molested kids or raped kids, more than one or two. Serial rapists with children, people under the age of 18. They usually put them in solitary confinement. The ones that have sex offenses against adults, it's kind of here and there with that. Depends on how it happened. As far as was it a violent rape, or was it a girl who just said, "Oh, he raped me and he didn't rape her, but he still went to prison," and they keep them in the general population, and those guys get kind of a green card, as you would say. But if you mess with kids or you are a rapist, and yeah, they get singled out. They do. And what's so bad about it, you have ones who are Caucasian. They think that the Aryan Nation or somebody like that's going to protect them. They don't.
No, they won't, will they?
No. And the ones who are African American, and they think that the gangs that are in the prison, they don't mess with them either. So then it comes back to the COs trying to protect them. You have some COs who won't do their job for them. That means if they're getting picked on or whatever, they kind of turn their back to them, or they go shake them down more than once a week or whatever. They shake them like 2 or 3 times. So they do get picked on. And do I think it's right? No, I don't think it's right, because if you're on the news, that's what it really does destroy them. We watch the news, and when I was an inmate, I watched the news, so we know who's coming in. Because if you know what type of cases they have, they're coming in. Because I was in Madison, and at Madison, they call that their sex offender, the kiddie camp, the sex offender camp, because they have classes for sex offenders. And it's called the Monticello program. I know that because that's all I heard about. And the Monticello program was a program for sex offenders. And do I think it worked? No. There's nothing that you can deal with a serial rapist or a rapist that does those type of crimes to me. There's a story. I'll tell you a story. A guy that was there when I was there. He came in because he raped a woman and then beat up the boyfriend and raped him. This is a true story. And then raped him. He told me, because he was about to get out, he did 15 years, and he's about to get out. I came in on his tail end of his time. And he worked his way all the way up from being in lockdown all the time to minimum. Well, not minimum, closed. So he worked his way up to, he couldn't get no further than that. He couldn't go to minimum camp where I was at. He couldn't go there. But he was on closed. But, he was on the yard, stuff like that. Everybody talked to him. I remember him telling me, I cannot wait to get out so I can do it again. He already had it in his mind. He's going to do it again when he got out.
Those are the serial rapists.
Right.
So when they are in prison, do they make a distinction? For instance, do they house them differently according to I know you mentioned different populations. Some will go into general population if they think they can handle it. But are they allowed to exercise together? Do they, how does that work? Are they all treated together? Do they try and...
They treat them... Okay. When they come in from... Okay, for I was at CRC. That's our place where you have to go. Everybody has to go there, and then they dispatch you to the prison, your home prison.
Right.
You get certified where you're going to go at CRC. So then they send us over to Madison. Some of those went into the sex offender part, and the rest of us went to the closed part. I mean, the general population part. The sex offender part, they have different clothes. They have the dark blue, like scrubs, like you're in the hospital. Dark blue. That's what they wore. So you knew who they were. You knew who you were. You knew who they were. Because I'm telling you, it's almost like Star Trek, like I said before. Like you're one of the Borgs. You're assimilation. You have to wear something. That's what you have to do. And you walk together. You go to chow together. You sit in the same parts together. You couldn't sit with the other inmates. You sat by yourself.
Right.
That's how they treat you.
Okay. Now a lot of them are in there because they slept with girls under 18, a statutory rape. You know that happens quite a bit in this day and age, and I myself as a mother, both a boy and a girl, can attest that young women are quite devious these days. They do lie about these things. And so are these boys treated any differently, men, are these offenders treated any differently than, say, somebody that raised a baby?
It's like this, to be honest with you. There's no reason, how young, even though, like, I have an 18, my daughter's about to be 19 here in June, and even though she doesn't look like she's that age, but as soon as they open up their mouth, you know that they're young. You know that they're young.
Right. So are you telling me that the inmates don't differentiate?
I don't, that's, to me, I don't think they do, because I don't want to say, well, she didn't look like, she don't look like she was under 18.
Well, also,
but did she talk to you?
Yeah, it's not like they go around talking about it to other inmates either. Now, Sarah, you and I were talking the other day. There is another type of sexual predator that we don't talk about, and that is the female sex offender. And they are out there, aren't they, Sarah?
Oh, yes, they are. There are many of them.
Yeah, I did get a chance to look at statistics right before I came on. You guys, you're not going to believe this. 43% are females that are registered. That's almost half. Were you aware of this, Stephen?
Well, cause I never saw that. But I know they're there, but you never see it. It's not
Right.
really public knowledge as a woman is a sex offender. When you see it, you're like, a woman is a sex offender,
Yeah.
and they have to get get postcards. Like back in Ohio, you get postcards when a sex offender moves into your neighborhood. Tells you exactly where they live
Right.
at. And like the most cards I saw were all men.
Yes. And Sarah, there's a reason for that, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, there is. My son is actually convicted of sexual assault with a minor under the age of 14, and he's actually innocent. There's no DNA. But they want to give him 50 to life when there's a couple of females walking around with 21 charges in California for one, with a 5-year suspended sentence and a 5-year probation, not having to register. And this is a female, 41-year-old, having sex with her girlfriend, with her daughter's boyfriends. That's one case.
Which is just as horrible, but yet it almost seems, doesn't it, Sarah, like we're sweeping that under the rug. Nobody wants to hear about the female sex offenders.
Right. It's very biased. The system is very biased and geared towards forgiving of women, and the men, well, that's another subject.
Yeah. Honestly, well, let's face it, if you're the editor of a newspaper and you have 2 sex offenders, arrested that day, which one are you going to put in your newspaper, the female or the male?
Right.
I mean, yeah, obviously it's going to be the male, because we as the public don't like to hear about the women. That is just too far-fetched, I think a lot of us feel, and we tend to glamorize it too. It's always, when we do hear about it, it's always, well, it's a teacher, and she did it with her student, and he was in high school, and, to young boys, this sounds fabulous, and we even have a term for it. It's socially acceptable. These women are called cougars, and the teenage boys think it's just fabulous, but it's the same thing, and it's not okay for them to do it either. So these current people that are locked up for sex offenses, I think that we both agree, Sarah and Stephen, that they are not getting the proper treatment. Stephen, you mentioned a program they're using that you don't think much of. What was it called again?
It was called the Monticello program.
Oh, okay. And so that's not successful. I have seen a couple documentaries about programs that have been successful. It seems to me it's mostly about accountability. Those that can be accountable for what they did are the ones that are successful and tend not to reoffend. So I found that interesting. Sarah, do you know of any treatment programs for sex offenders that are currently, because I think that most of them are made to make the offender feel bad about themselves and not positive. They're kind of like, shame on you, you're bad, and that's the way it is, and society hates you, and go eat worms, which is not really encouraging for rehabilitation. Stephen, did you know any that were successful in their treatment?
I knew one. I knew one. He was on my block. He was one guy, and he was a teacher, and he had sex with one of his students, and it was so serious that the parents of the girl knew him, and they talked to him, and he was going to divorce his wife and marry her when she graduated, and they gave it the okay. it just got back to the wrong person, and it told everybody. But the got back to the person, and that person went and told, and he got in trouble. He got 3 years. He lost his teaching license and all that, of course. But but you know what? I talk to him sometimes. We've been friends here for a little while, but he's doing good. He's doing masonry work, bricks and stuff like that. He's doing from a teacher doing some labor work like that, but he's doing good. He's still with his family, and he's done all the registration now for 10 years. It's over with, so he doesn't do that anymore. And that's one thing I do want to talk about too, if we have time. The registration stuff. I don't think that's going to work. That's not going to stop anything. As far as I'll talk about that in a second. Go ahead. Like I said,
go ahead, Stephen, because that's a very good point. I think he's absolutely right, Sarah. That's one system that is failing us miserably, that registered sex offender. I mean, go ahead, Stephen, because it seems to me that they don't even know who they have most of the time.
Right. They have that little postcard comes out and it tells people where they live and how much they weigh and what they look like and having tattoos or scars, all that type of stuff. To me, it's not going to stop anything because it's still going on now. People know that that's what it is, and what's going to happen if you rape somebody or have sex with an underage girl, you're easily going to go to prison, and you're going to be on registration for the next 10 years, 10 to 15 years, 20 years, or for life. It doesn't stop nobody. It's not scaring nobody. That does not work. So,
right.
My whole thing is that it's like whatever Sarah's I feel sorry for that, and I apologize to that, Sarah. If you have any questions I can do to help you with that, I will do my best to get information to you. Because I know stuff about that. It's not helping. It's not helping. And just like you said, these classes do make you feel like you're less than a human, less than a man, less than a woman, less than human. And that's not going to work for anybody. You need help. You don't dog somebody who needs help. You don't do that because that's not serving the purpose. You're causing more pain. Right. You're going to probably end up doing more stoops. You're going to make them mad, and it's going to have to be said. They're going to say, well, you know what? I'm bad anyway, so I might as well go do this. I'm going to give you something to talk about.
Right.
You putting gasoline on a little bit of flame. You almost got it out, but you reignite it. This time you're going to make it bigger. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, another thing that we tend to forget is that this was usually done to these people. Now, Sarah, I'm not talking about your case, but a lot of these that were not tricked into this, that really are out there molesting, it happened to them. So they themselves need to heal as well because they were victims. That's why they do it.
I agree. They need healing, and a person has to take it on an individual basis. This is the hardest thing I'm going through with my son, and I know the circumstances are not justifiable, but I do know that there's a lot of girls out there that actually were molested and raped, and I feel so sorry for them. And you can't help but only pray and try to help them out as much as possible. And this system is a broken system, and it's not geared to rehabilitating the sex offenders. It's geared towards throwing them away like caged animals, and that's the end of that. Let's get rid of them. Let's charge the state another $1 million for something that they didn't do. It's really awful.
That's so true. And Sarah, I do understand what you're saying, and like I told you, what state are you in, Sarah? What state?
I'm in Nevada, in Reno.
Nevada. Okay. You know what? You're right. You sure did. When you talked about that, we did. I will definitely. Maybe have some information that can help you with that. Can give you my story and let you know what can be done because I know people who's going through the same thing. As far as that, the kids, you grow up because you've been molested as a kid, and you know what? That's true. I believe that because there has to be some type of help that we can give these people who been raped, been molested growing up, been touched by their father or their uncle and stuff like that, and there's never been nothing done about it. He thought it was okay because he did it again, so that's why they go out and do it. They think it's okay. It's not okay. You know, the biggest one I'm thinking about right now is who's top flight in the news is R. Kelly.
Right.
You know, he was molested and stuff like that when he was younger, so he doesn't see nothing wrong for what he's doing. And, you know, it's longer than two left shoes, but he doesn't think it's wrong. So right there, prison is not the answer. Prison is not the answer. That's just like telling some little kid, well, quit stealing the bubble gum, quit taking the bubble gum, now go to your room. That's what it's like. He's not going to see nothing wrong with it. I don't think he's going to miss the money. Getting the money and the girls. That's the only thing he's going to miss while he's there when he goes. Because he's going to go because it's too big of a media case now. But he needs to be in a psychological place that will help people with this type of things. Because it's almost like you're an arsonist, someone who sets fire. There's a psychological problem there. You knew that when they were doing stuff when they were little. So setting matches and playing with matches, setting little things on fire. You knew there was a problem then. It goes with sex offenders too. You knew somewhere down the line there was a problem that they showed you that there was something wrong.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I feel about that. And the way that Sarah was talking about her son, that's completely bull. He didn't show no way that he was doing. There was no DNA. So how can you convict somebody when there's no DNA? I don't get that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It seems to me once again we're looking at a lot of the I don't want to deal with it. Like Sarah said, let's just throw them away, and that's that. And I did want to mention that in my research, I came across only one program that was successful, you guys, and it was only for juveniles. But it seemed to me the main thing was addressing the pain. You are in pain because you were a victim, and you caused your victim's pain. And relating those two is all about, this program is all about accountability. They have to, let's see, they need to accept the fact that they did what they did and why they did it. That means they have to deal with what happened to them. And then they have to show some remorse, or some actually do, if it's allowed, apologize to their victims and the victim's family. But a requirement before being released back into society is they have to get before the entire group of offenders and tell everybody what they did and how they feel about it. And they have an 80% success rate. But like I said, it's the only one I found, and it's for juveniles. Now, if we could somehow figure out a way to get that to the adults, because, Sarah, we were discussing the other day, and Stephen, you're well aware that anytime any kind of program comes up for sex offenders, the public goes crazy with rage, don't they?
Yes, they do. It's like you say, oh, there's a sex offender moving the neighborhood. It's like somebody who has HIV who's spreading it to everybody.
I know. They put signs in their yard and set their houses on fire, and I see. They go nuts. They really do get quite upset. And I think one of the reasons for that is the public doesn't understand this either.
No, they don't.
They really don't.
They don't. And, you know, and truly, when the sex offender gets out, if he gets out, it's more miserable there than it is inside. Because at least inside, you do have some type of protection, because you can go in protective custody, or sometimes you might have a CO who kind of looks out for you, you know, then leave them alone, or, you know, whatever. But when you get out, you're on your own.
Right.
You're on your own, because you're not going to have nobody in your neighborhood stick up for you. You can't have trick-or-treaters come to your house. That's one of the things that they say. You can't have trick or treaters coming out. You can't have no type of decoration in your yard for Halloween. You can't do that type of stuff. Yeah, that was a big thing.
It totally changes your whole world then, huh?
Yes, it does. That's the whole thing because I saw being when I was on probation and stuff, they have all that stuff on the wall for sex offenders. They said you have to be in the house with your door shut with the porch light off during the time where the kids are going around for candy. You can't do nothing. You got to shut your door with your light off. So, and they show that, and the probation will come around to your house and double making sure that's what you're doing. Or they'll have police go by your house and stuff like that and make sure that you're doing what you're doing. And you can't tell me that doesn't work on somebody psychologically, because you've done your time. You've done your time. Now I'm not even on probation. Well, I'm on probation, or parole. I'm no longer an inmate. I'm a protected. I'm supposed to be a citizen now, right? That's what you told me while you got out. I'm coming back to be a citizen and do the right thing. Then why are you labeling me like that? Why are you putting me in this type of situation? I can't do anything if you give me these labels. Ain't nobody gonna hire a sex offender. Ain't nobody gonna hire a sex offender. I hate to say that. It's wrong, but nobody's gonna hire a sex offender. A murderer will have a better chance of getting a job than a sex offender.
Yes, you're absolutely right about that.
Then if you're gonna give a card for a sex offender that lives in the neighborhood, then you should do it. Okay, we got a murderer in the neighborhood. We have arsonists in the neighborhood. We have a drug dealer who's convicted of doing meth. But them motherfuckers start putting that around the neighborhood then.
Yeah.
Or how about this? How about this? We'll just make one. We'll just carry down a block and just put them all in one block. This is where the sex offenders live. You can't go in there because that's where they live. They got their own grocery store. They got their own McDonald's. They got their own bank. That's where they live.
Oh, just write everyone's background on their mailbox. Get it.
Yeah, that's right. It's what they should do. I'm sorry, but it just pisses me off. It pisses me off with that type of stuff because it's not right.
Well, it doesn't serve any purpose because just the neighbors knowing who and what they are, if they do go out and do it again, you're down to the same game. You still have to prove it. I mean, it's not going to prevent them from reoffending is my point. The only thing it does is get everybody upset, and in some cases, people die over this,
They do. It's a waste of taxpayers' money.
Well, yes.
We have to pay for extra police patrols. We have to pay for the extra postcards being mailed. You have to go you have to go see your probation officer once. You got to go once a month. My boy said once a month he had to go. And then depends what he was considered a predator, but he wasn't a violent predator. He was a predator because he had 2 sex cases, and so they labeled him as a predator. And there's 2 totally different times. He was charged with one when he was a teenager that he had sex with a girl that was 12, but he was 15. So that juvenile record, you're supposed to see it, but they brought it back. And when he got
I don't think that's fair.
No, it's not. But see, he got caught with he was messing with a prostitute. He got caught with a prostitute getting caught with a prostitute. She was doing some things to him when he got caught by the police, and he got labeled as a sex offender there, indecent exposure and all that type of stuff. And he got labeled as a sex offender himself. They moved him from being a regular sex offender to a predator because he already had a sex case back when he was juvenile. So I don't like I said, that's not possible. That's not possible. That's not right. And that's what they did. So my advice to you, Sarah, and this is gonna sound kind of mean. What type of attorney do you have? I say get a female attorney. A female attorney dealing with sex cases is the best because a woman can read a woman.
Okay.
A man can't read a woman. The way we read women is totally different. We're just totally different than how, because, I look at a female like, wow, she looks nice.
Yeah, that's kind of how we got in the mess in the first place.
Exactly. A female attorney is the best bet on a sex case because, like I said,
Okay.
they can read a female.
Okay.
A female can read a female. You know, so you know when a female's lying, or you know,
Right.
like, yeah, she's lying. Something ain't right. She's lying. Doesn't look right. You know, at least she could pull out some things that he might have missed and point it to the jury. You know, female attorneys are better in those, like I said, in those type of cases. That's just my opinion.
All right. And that's what I was going with too. Right now, he has a state-appointed attorney, which
Oh,
is
my God.
it's just a state versus state against my son. Nothing of his
Yeah.
own. The jury was not a jury of his peers.
Mm.
The minorities that were on there,
Mm-hmm.
they booted them off. The DA booted them off. There was a lady from the Innocent Project, and she told them, "I won't find anybody guilty unless there's absolute DNA. DNA, or that's all that
Right.
matters is DNA." Well, the district attorney booted her off. So yeah, it was totally biased, and
It was.
right now he has a state attorney, and he's getting sentenced on Thursday. So we're gonna have to work with appeal right after.
You know, that's crazy that you already know you have to work for appeal, and he's not even been sentenced yet. And that's
Right.
You know what I call them? I call them public pretenders because you know
Yeah, exactly.
they work for the prosecution office. How are you gonna have a public defender and he's like on the same building, 2 doors down from? And I know that is how it was in Dayton. The public defender's office is 2 doors down from the prosecution office.
Right. Right.
So that
Exactly.
there's no what you want to call it? No privacy there.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
they know that's not there. You put them in another building, put them across the street. They should be that close to who you're fighting.
Yeah.
That's not right.
And my son was guilty before found innocent. They say that you're innocent
Exactly.
before guilty. It's not that way. He was found guilty before anything whatsoever. You
It
know,
is. That's
and
how
like,
it is.
And I feel really bad for him because he's been bullied since he was in 3rd grade. He was born with a speech impediment and medical problems. And he was bullied all the way from 3rd all the way up to high school. And when he had his investigation or whatever it was with the detective, they turned that into a confession, which on the charges, there were 7 original charges. 4 of the charges were dropped due to the corpus delicti rule. So if 4 of them were dropped because there was no body of evidence, why weren't the other 2 dropped? And those are what they're charging him with. Those are what they convicted him on. So his whole case is just bias, period, from the get-go.
It is.
And the only minority on there was alternative juror number 13 and the African American investigator for the state attorney. That was it. Those are the only 2 minorities in the courtroom besides my son and my husband and I. So it really frustrates me that this Me Too movement is totally biased and they're just going after anybody and anybody. My son doesn't have a prior record, but yet he's there looking at a 50-year sentence for something that he didn't do.
You know, that really is a shame. I'm glad you got the Innocence Project because they have so many unique things going on as far as research goes. Did you guys know that, let's say you have a case in a home, mother's boyfriend is accused of molesting the 9-year-old daughter. So he's under investigation. They can actually, what they do is they attach his private part to a machine. They put him in, it's called a virtual reality thing, where essentially you're alone, sequestered, and you look at pictures or a video, and they show them naked pictures of women at various ages, and they can tell by the circumference of his private part whether he is aroused or not. So there is no question about it. And none of this was done for your son.
No, none. And the saddest part is, they want my son to pay for the rape test. One of the girls said no, and she actually told the DA nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened. And they continued with that. They forced her into saying, okay, yeah, something happened, okay? And it's like, why would they badger 14-year-old girls and 13-year-old girls into stuff like that with the rape test, and they're still asking my son to pay for a rape test that were not done? And there's one girl that did it, the other girl did not, but yet they're still charging him for two of them. And then they asked him, well, what do you think about this? And my son goes, how can I tell somebody I'm sorry when I did nothing? They're still trying to force him to say I'm sorry to the victim that was not there. And it's like, it's so frustrating. There has to be changes in this broken system. And until people start speaking up on the guy's behalf, I know not everybody's innocent, but unless they get rehabilitated or treatment centers, it's not going to work for anybody. The states are paying millions and millions of dollars for innocent people being thrown away. And it's just like the welfare system. It's broken. Too many people are abusing it. When does it stop? You know?
Well, it certainly is a complex problem. Sarah and I have been discussing a solution. It's rather serious and drastic, but I think we all agree, don't we, Stephen, that it's going to require something very drastic and serious to fix our dilapidated system. Anyways, so let's just talk about it, shall we?
Sure.
I'm thinking it's in the offender's best interest to be sequestered from society. I think this does not have to worry about. They're already starting to use some of those abandoned prisons that have shut down. They're starting to put sex offenders in treatment in those places. And, of course, the residents are all up in arms and yelling and screaming and making phone calls, throwing matches out the windows. So Sarah and I were thinking, I think an island would be nice where you can have a facility, a huge medical facility with all kinds of treatment. It could be state-of-the-art. You could have new research going on there. You could have all kinds of new treatment methods being tried. And if worse comes to worse, Sarah, what was your wonderful idea? I just loved it.
I said get a big ship, like one of the USS ships or like a yacht type, out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. That way there's nobody around.
Yeah.
People have to be scared of them. And they could all have their doctors and everything on the boat. And the food and stuff will be there for them. And just away from society until they are treated. And they have to be certifiable treated, not just, okay, you're done with your program, get out. No, they have to have a treatment program. They have to have a plan. And instead of having both the federal and state fighting over who's in charge, have it one universal, which would be federal.
Yes, we'd get rid of a lot of red tape, wouldn't we, Sarah?
Yeah. And because I think it would be beneficial to society, because they're deeming these people as animals and just outcast from society. And it would be beneficial to the inmates where they could actually treat themselves or get treated by doctors or specialists, and they don't have to deal with society being mean to them. And they would all be with the classification of each other in that protective custody in the middle of the ocean or in an island, one of the two, doesn't matter, away from society.
Well, healing would be a lot easier if they felt safe. Stephen, please weigh in here. Are we out of our minds or what?
It sounds like it should be a movie. Like Escape from New York. That sounds like a movie. I understand what you're coming from. I just said that man would be from a neighborhood by themselves, but
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think that would happen because first of all, treatment is not going to work. I don't think treatment works. If you're gonna rape kids, or you're gonna rape people, you're just gonna do it. It's just greed. It's just bred into you. I don't care if you give them electroshock treatments or whatever like that. They're gonna keep on doing what they do. And I agree with you. Put them somewhere where they can't hurt nobody. Like I said, the worst should be somewhere completely away from everything. And I know that sounds kind of mean, but they should be, because society is not going to let you be okay. You know, I hate to say that. If you a sex offender and you trying to get your life together, society's not going to let you be that way.
Right.
They're going to keep pushing you and picking you with you. And on top of that, like you say, they're going to put stuff in your yard. They're going to put baby dolls and stuff hang on trees in front of your yard and stuff like that. I've seen that before. They did that in Ohio. When you're a sex offender, raping little kids, and they got out. You're never going to have yourself, because people are not going to let you be that way. And like you said, they need to be in a place completely isolated from everything. The postcard things, they need to get rid of that, because that's not helping. That's just letting people know where you at. And they talk about, well, if you mess with them, you can go to jail. That's not going to happen. So you're just going to just lock people up because they mess with them? That's not going to help nothing. That's a scare tactic. Scare tactics don't work in society now. But like I said, the postcard thing, that needs to be abolished. I agree with what you said about putting them somewhere together so they can feel safe and stuff like that. I agree with that, because they're not going to be safe in society without some type of protection, because it's not going to happen, because we're not going to let it happen. Because I know for a fact, if somebody break my daughter, it's going to be some dudes to be played with that. I'm going to prison, back to prison, so I can find you. So I'm going to let you know that's not going to happen, and we're going to have some problems.
Right.
Because it's not right. Any parent, if that was your child that got raped, man, boy or girl, if somebody raped your child, you're going to do something to them too.
Right.
So there's stuff that's going to have to be done in this country, because you have to understand, stuff like this is not going to stop. Murder, rape, all this type of stuff is not going to stop. It's just the way that where we live in now. It's the way the world is. And I'm not saying it's good. It's not. It's terrible. It's terrible. But locking people up just because they did this, going to prison is not the answer. Especially if you already have a psychological problem. Why are you going to lock them up? That's not going to help nothing. It's just going to make it worse. Prison is not the answer for everything. It's coming for somebody who was just locked up. Prison is the answer for everything. I probably should have been locked up for what I did. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. But all the years you were talking about giving me, what was that going to do? That just made me want to learn more crime. I learned more stuff inside than I did on the outside. I know Dawn knows what I'm talking about. I know Dawn knows. You learn more stuff on the inside than you do on the outside. If you want to be a criminal. You want to be a criminal, you learn more stuff on you want to be a criminal, you learn more on the inside you.
I call it my son's college. Yeah, that's where he went to college.
It is.
He got a bachelor's degree so far.
Got a bachelor's degree of doing crazy stuff. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he did. He did.
I tell you, being a CO, and I know stuff, and then I was in the prison now. I learned stuff there. I taught my daughter how to make a break, and Tommy knows what I'm talking about. But I taught my daughter how to make a break. How am I going to teach my daughter that?
Wow,
That's not something that you take back home. You teach your husband when she gets married. I'm gonna teach you how to take a break. I ain't gonna do that. He wants a ham or something like that. He don't want no break. How's he gonna learn to do that? It still remembers to this day, because she looked at me, Daddy, we're gonna make a break. No, I'm not making no more breaks. That's my past. I can't do that anymore. But seriously, no. I know.
I have a confession to make. I taught my kids how to put the coins in the washer and dryer, the pink ones, using tape, so you can get them back out. Because a friend of mine that was in jail taught me that, and we'd be low on money for laundry, and I said, come here, kids, look. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, parenting is tough. There's all kinds of challenges, huh? Oh, goodness. But, well, I do think we are about out of time, and it definitely is a situation that we're going to have to work on. And so, well, we're just going to continue to kind of plod along, and I think slowly but surely, things have no choice but to change, because there are just too many in prison right now, and we're going to have to figure something out. We just are.
You're right.
So thank you for joining. What was that?